In present now, there would be an option for choosing a window, and in a window, choose the window which has the PPT visible, and then we can continue.
Yes. I have to go to present now.
Yeah. Again, as we did earlier, click on present now, then click on a window, and after choosing the window which has the PPT, we may continue.
Is it coming, sir?
Yeah, loading. Yeah, perfect. Now start the PPT as you normally do in the class.
Okay.
At the top, there's an option of slideshow, and in slideshow, start the slide.
Madam, first unmute yourself. Manpreet madam, please unmute yourself.
Ma'am, please unmute yourself. Where you disable the camera, there is also an option of muting or unmuting yourself. Can you go to that?
Hello.
You're audible. You're audible. You're audible. Yeah.
I'm audible.
Yeah.
Sir,
Go
is
to the
my
PPT
screen is
and
visible?
start the slideshow, and as you do in the class, talk about your PPT. Go to the PPT and start the slideshow. Yes. Oh, come on.
Is it
Priyanka.
visible?
Who's Priyanka?
Sir, I have gone to it. Is it visible?
Just a second, ma'am. Priyanka started. I've removed Priyanka. Can you go to Meet and resume presenting? There would be, go to the Meet window where you saw my face. Click on the where you saw present now. You would see resume presenting. I'll deny Priyanka entry.
Yes. Again, I
Go to the. I'll call you.
Sir, is my PPT visible?
Hello, ma'am. You
Yes,
do
sir.
one
I
thing,
am
ma'am.
again. Hanji.
Yeah, do one thing, ma'am. Go to the PPT. No, sorry, go to the Meet window, and where you saw present now, you would see resume presenting. Is it there? Resume presenting. Yeah, click on the resume presenting,
Ah, yes. It is.
and do one thing. Go to the PPT now and start the slideshow. Do you know how to do that? In slideshow, you would have from beginning. Yeah, and then next as you do normally.
Ah, yes. I know.
Waiting for it.
So is it visible?
It's not here. Just a second. Yeah. It's now visible. You can start deliberating on your lecture.
Oh, thank you. Okay, good afternoon, dear participants. The topic given to me is organic fodder and livestock production challenges and opportunities. Let's start with the topic. Now the participants, as we all know, that there is a trend for the alternate agriculture now. We know that there are many problems created by the conventional system, so which forced us to move towards the alternate type of farming, and organic fodder production is one of the type of the alternate type of farming. No doubt we Indians are using this type of production previously from previous year as a traditional farming, but we can't call it as a organic farming because organic farming is a labeled word, it is a certified word, it is a word that has some articles in it. So when we are talking about organic farming, it should have a logo on it, it should have some certification on it, so we can say that we are we are producing organically. No doubt we are organic by default, but still we are we have very less certified area under organic farming. Let's see some data. This is the global scenario. Total area globally under organic farming is 71.5 million hectare. That Oceania countries are leading in it, followed by Europe and Latin America. Now the scenario of our country is that India has registered organic farming area is 3.56 million hectare, where 1.78 million hectare is cultivable land and 1.7 is a wild land. We Indians are the largest producers. About 30% producers in the organic market is us, 30%. And this organic farming is under the Department of Commerce, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, and the apex body is NPOP, which is the highest body which deal with accreditation.
Sorry to interrupt.
And
Uh,
okay,
can you stop presenting and start presenting again, because slides are not visible, like the way I showed you.
Slides are visible, sir.
I know they are visible, but people are here who do not know how to pin. Anyways, I would want to start this presentation directly. What happens is basically when somebody
okay,
starts
so first
presenting.
I have to go to stop sharing.
Yes, do again.
Okay, then I will stop sharing.
Just present now again. No, go to the place where go to the meet where we talk, where you saw my face. There you have to click on present now. Unfortunately, some participants come and start sharing, which should not be the case. Or they join by sharing, presenting it. There's a technological
now
gap
present now.
here.
I have to again go to present now.
Yes, then window.
Sir, again I have to go to present now.
Yes.
Okay, window. coming, sir?
Since your connection is a bit slow, it's loading. Just a second.
Okay.
Yeah, it's loading.
Okay.
Perfect. Let's start.
Okay. Now, number of certifying agencies in India is now 24. I have already discussed that it should contain logo. This is the Indian organic logo. We should on the product so that we can recognize it as an organic. Now, the thing is, why it is grow organic livestock? It has been seen that the scenario of the pesticides and insecticides which we are using in our conventional fields is causing some problematic diseases like cancer. So, to prevent those residual effect of the pesticides, something the substitute of those chemicals we can say, and so we are switching to organic products. Now, secondly, we have seen that when our animals are feeding on the pastures, instead of grazing and browsing the things, what happened? In the increase as comparison to omega-6 also cause good health effects. Also increase CLAs, that is conjugated linolenic acids, and have an antioxidant present in more in the milk. So that organic animals are the healthy animals, have no deficiency of nutritional deficiency, we can say, because they themselves, there is a lot of exercise. It is also explained in the next slide. There is a lot of, but they themselves feed themselves, go for the walk, like so. They are very they have a good, they are very active. So these are the things. What are the guidelines, what are the standards one have to follow if it is switching its D from conventional to organic livestock? First of all, there should be the process of registration, because in this organic production, in this organic livestock production, there should be involvement of the third party, what it's called a certifying agency. So first there should be a registration. The producer choose a certifying agency, fill the form and give the form to the certifying agency. Okay, they should it has 50% lease and got registered with certifying agency. When it is certified, the issue that has been stopped. Now, organic process is a process. It starts from the sowing, or the start from the producing of livestock to its the product. The whole from sowing to harvest to processing. So it is the whole process, and there are inspections. So the farmer has to note down all the things from sowing to processing. Up to processing, it has to write down all the things, because they are inspections. Because it is there, it can come announced or it can come unannounced. So inspections during the field days, and when the inspections are there, and when the certifying agencies is satisfied with the protocol or the keys the organic farmers is choosing, so then it labeled its product as an organic, and then it is released for sale, following the whole protocol from sowing. No. One thing very important in the organic farming is the conversion period. Now we all know that organic products have a premium. They are the 32% higher rate as compared to conventional. But this conversion is the transition period. Here the product is not to be organic. Conversion period, and it varies per period. In this period, the premium is not due to the farmer. The premium is just like conventional that the farmer get by selling these products is just the same as that. So after the complete period to farming and the premium go is the organic premium, that there is a hike of 48 price and you get that. So we see that if the is there for the meat, then the conversion period is 12 months. And for butter like that, it is for 9 days, and it is for egg, it is for days. And now, as we all know that there is very less livestock production in our country, as well as particularly in the region, there is not such big debt on it. We have on the conventional products. So to take the livestock for the meat, then we can take 2 days old for the meat. And if we want to produce eggs, the eggs are taken from the hen, which is 18 weeks. Then we start preparing the protein. Then we have to take the dairy animals which has an age of 4 weeks, and it should be fed the colostrum as well as full milk. Now, some key consideration when organic livestock productions. First of all, breed selection. Breed selection is a very important criteria because the breed should have a vital, it should have a potential, it should be resistant to diseases. So some of the breeds for our J&K region, if we are talking about cow, then we should select the breed like Sahiwal. And if the farmer wants that milk should be raised, milk should be had, he can depend on the cross breeds, not the pure exotic breed. It should depend on the cross breed, but exotic inheritance should not be more than 67.5%. And the breed suggested for plains of J&K is Holstein Friesian, and for the Kashmir it is Jersey. For buffalo, the breeds are Murra and Neeli Ravi. For goat, the breeds are Punchi, Gadi, and Bakarwali. For sheep, it is Beaten and Bakarwali, and for poultry, it is Asil, Vanraja, Kadaknath can also be used. So, procedures that are not allowed in organic farming but allowed in conventional farming are embryo transfer, no embryo transfer in organic farming, no hormonal treatment, no genetically engineered species of breed. But the artificial inheritance AI is allowed. It is better if the breeds the breeding is natural, the birth is natural, but artificial and inheritance is allowed in the organic. It has been seen that if we go for organic production, is increased 4,000 kg to 10,000 kg. Organic sows can produce 15 to 20 piglets per year, and laying hens production can vary from 200 to 300 eggs per year. Now, next key consideration is about feeding. This is fodder and feeding. I have on the coming slides in the detail. So let's first feeding. How to feed like that. So it is very essential that when the farmer is going for organic livestock, the roughage is included to the diet. Because our India is dependent much on cereals, roughages are less. But no, this is not the criteria for organic fodder production. When we are switching to organic fodder production or organic livestock production, then 60% roughage are very important. It should be included in the diet of animals, and the landless the land is there for this production, so that 50% feed come from the same farm. And anyway, there is a provision that the feed from conventional farm can be given at the rate of 10% for ruminants and 15% for the non-ruminants, but certified feeds should be 30%. 30% feed should be given to the animals, and the rest come from the conversion. The feeds which are in the conversion, the transit. And what is prohibited in the feeding? No growth regulators, no urea, animal byproducts are prohibited, medicated feeds are no, hormones are prohibited, and chemical extracted feeds no to them. Now, units. As I have worked in the division of ILFC, and our whole team, we are maintaining our daily unit there, and our whole team is preparing these feed blocks, especially our nutritionist, Dr. Nazam Khan. He's preparing feed blocks there, and he's using these things, and we can also use these things for the organic fodder livestock production. But the thing is that the source, the originate of these things is organic. So for preparing wheat flocks, we can use this wheat bran, maize, barley, rice, polished rice, mustard cake, and 2% of mixture minerals. We can add 2% mixture mineral. 2% mixture mineral is essential, so we cannot skip that. We have to add 2% feed to the animals and plus 1% salt, and make the organic feed block. And next is Azolla supplement. Azolla is a very important in division of ILFC. We are taking a pilot project on Azolla. This is done by I am doing that, and I have seen that about 20 to 30% is a hike in the milk production when we are giving Azolla over the treatments. When we are not giving Azolla, and it also cut the cost of the concentrate, because it is a rich source of protein, 20 to 30%. This is the suggested dose for the Azolla supplements for the organic livestock fodder production. Like large ruminants, it is 700 to 800 gram. For small ruminants, we should give it at the rate of 300 to 400 gram, and desi breed of poultry, it should be 50 to 60 gram, and for the exotic, it is 10 to 15 gram. This is the Azolla recommendation for our organic fodder production. We should also go, because the medicines are not allowed, so prebiotics, probiotics and prebiotics, according to the calculation what the company recommend, according to that we can add these probiotics and prebiotics to the feed of the animals, so that the intestinal position in the intestines become strong, and they can grow well. No, poultry. In case of poultry, what should be the schedule to be followed? The diet should be 100% organic diet, like the peas. The peas are very, they are very good. Peas, mostly peas are fed to the poultry. Then beans can also be used, rapeseed can be used, and it should include 5% supplements. If we are wanting to provide vitamins, then we can give sprouted grains. For minerals, limestone and phosphate rock. For calcium, limestone, grit and oyster shell. And essential amino acids, we can use the source of soya beans, skim milk powder, potato protein, maize gluten, etc. No, something is prohibited is that debeaking and beak trimming is prohibited. But if we want to, then we have to go for debeaking when it is more than 5 millimeter. Then we have to at least leave the 5 millimeter of beak. And as the conventional life cycle is 40 to 45 days for the poultry, but in case of organic livestock production, we have to go at least for the 81 days of age, 80 onwards. It should be there that natural light should be there in our organic farming. It for 16 hours recommended for layers, and 23 hours is recommended for broiler. And it to increase day length, the artificial light is there because natural light has some problems also. So we can also include artificial light in our organic livestock production system. And for that, we have to use mobile houses in chicks. And for stock density, it is recommended that 4-6 hens with 1 cock. And there should be the provision of sand and dust bathing for the poultry animals. No, housing and environment, there should be indoor. We have to protect our animals from extreme weather conditions, predators. So there should be both indoor area as well as outdoor area. There should be a lot of exercises for the organic animal. There should be freely movement for them. There should be a paddock area for them. There should be ample access of water. The animals should be kept according to their social behavior. No caging for like poultry. The animals should not be kept in cages. There should be recommended mobile houses in poultry. They are expensive. They are not prevalent in our Indian condition. They are not. They are costly. So farmers are not using these mobile houses, but they are recommended in the organic poultry, organic livestock production and dairy. For dairy animals, no binding to them. They should be loose housing. So in case of allowed, but some of the prevalent diseases like FMD in cattle and Renicath in poultry, then there is we have to provide preventive vaccine in those cases. Otherwise, we have not to go for vaccination. But if there's a epidemic, then we have to switch to vaccines, and genetically engineered vaccines are not allowed. No medicines. Coming to medicines for this production, organic production, and no to antibiotics. If the animals are in risk, their life is in risk, we have to give antibiotics doses to them. Then we have to wait for minimum 5 days. The minimal withdrawal period is 5 days, so we have to wait for that. And for deworming and parasitic control, some experiments are also taken in our division of ILFC. We are because these condensed tannins, they bind the parasites, and parasites are not able to reproduce. So we can use these things. We have used in our division of ILFC, we are using this, the bear, jamun, gava, mango kachna, and some like jamun leaves are there, and then crush them, piece them, and add to the percent 3 to 4% to our fodder feed, add in this proportion to our fodder or concentrate, and feed to the animals, so that automatically they get dewormed, and they artificially protozoa, animals, other nematodes, vagera, infections can removed. We can also feed these above sarisa, chicory, senfoin, lotus, birds food. They are rich in condensed tannins, and they help as a natural dewormer. They act as a natural dewormer. No, another thing is saponins. Saponins are toxic to rumen protozoa, so they are not able to grow on the saponin-rich food. So we can also saponin diet to the organic animals, and we can add saponin containing forage like sesbania. We can also add fruits, sapindus, radish. It is 3 to 4% in the diet. We can add this. Okay. No, legume forages, because in the organic fodder production, the one criteria is the balanced diet. There should be the balanced diet. So legume forages are important. Different legume for like sola, sinofin, maku, they are added, and they are also good for health, and also don't allow the unwanted organisms to come in. And for poultry, cucumber and pumpkin seeds are recommended as a dewormers. Now coming to fodder production, other key consideration, other keys have been taken, but fodder and pasture production is very taken a big amount of this diet for their survival as well as for their health. So it is taken in detail here. Fodder production, 4.5% to the GDP of India, and agriculture GDP. In agriculture GDP, its contribution is 25.8%. We are leading in cattle and buffalo, but our dependency on cereals is very much, that is 44%. But for organic fodder production, we have to at least added 60% roughages to the ruminant diets. So the dependency on cereals is not good here. We have to see some optional things, so that dependency on cereals and straw and forages and dry fodder, it should be minimized. India is deficient in green fodder about 23%. In dry fodder, it is 24%. And when coming to J&K, we are deficient here 54% in green fodder and 67% in dry fodder. No, the intake of fodder and feed for animals, this is the thumb rule, that ruminants, for the ruminants, we have to feed the fodder at the rate of 10% of body weight. If we have to feed concentrates, the maintenance concentrates for ruminants is 2 kg. 2 kg. And for cow, if it is giving 3 kg milk, then we have to add 1 kg concentrate on 3 kg milk. And if there is buffalo, then we had to add 1 kg concentrate on 2.5 kg. It means we have to give 2 kg maintenance concentrates to our livestock. Either it is giving milk or not giving milk. But if it is giving milk at this rate, then we have to add on our concentrate at the rate of 1 kg on 3 kg milk cow and 2.5 kg buffalo cow. This fodder is 4% of body weight, and this concentrate is 10 gram per kg live weight. And poultry average, its intake is 100 gram per day. Now, as we know that we are deficient in fodder, and our motto is to grow organic livestock, so we have two strategies to improve our fodder supply. It can be fodder, increasing our fodder banks, feed blocks, conversion of fodder into feed blocks, and growing perennial fodder trees. We have to mix different sources of fodder. In division of ILFC, we have taking the round the year fodder supply by mixing different sources of fodder. We are using their fodder trees, fodder grasses, annual fodders. We are going for staggered planting, so that the supply from the annual fodder is also maximized. And then the lean periods, when there is a scarcity of fodders, we are depending on perennial trees and perennial grasses. And we can also provide the fodder from agroforestry. Agriculture residues and legume integration is very much important. These are different fodder trees, grasses, legumes. Okay, now another is hydroponic fodder. Now there's a trend of vertical farming, and we have to go for hydroponic fodder or supplemental fodder like azolla, or preserving fodder like silage and haymaking to meet our deficiency. We can also add conserved fodder. No, organic fodder. How to produce organic fodder? Now, technology and package and practices for organic fodder production. First of all, it is very important to go for the proper site selection. At least the isolation distance between organic and inorganic field land is by 5 meters. The distance between two burns of organic plants should be 1 meter wide, so that the traveling of nutrients should not be there. Irrigation source should be nearby, so that a contaminated irrigation does not come. And the choice of crop varieties is they are adapted to soil and climatic conditions of that particular area. The varieties are naturally resistant. We have to try that all planting materials not available, then chemically untreated conventional planting material shall be used initially, and no to genetically engineered things, either to seed, pollen, or transgenic plants. Now, for the seed treatment, to avoid the seed-borne diseases, we have to treat our seeds with trichoderma at the rate of 5 gram per liter of water, and neem seed extracts at the rate of 5%. For the nutrient management of the plants, we have to use the organic sources like farmyard manure, poultry manure, compost manure, vermicompost, cakes. These are different sources. In division of ILFC, we are also recycling our farm waste. We are producing vermicompost, and we are also making havan cakes and farmyard manures, so that our waste get recycled properly. And to prevent the weeds, pest and disease we have to go for preventive methods, culture techniques, mulches, companion planting and trap crops for attracting pests and save the fodder crops, and going for crop rotations that so that the cycle of the pathogen is decreased, is cut down, and we have to encourage and protect our natural enemies so that they can protect our fodder crops from the harmful enemies. No to genetically engineered organisms and products like vermiculture, vermiwash, panchkavya, mudguggart is used there. No, I have already told you that organic farming is a whole process. It comes from sowing to processing. So we have to, if the farmer sow his field, sow his product, organic product as a organic, but any problem in processing, any unwanted thing, any chemical leak or anything happened in the process, in the processing process, then the whole product is cancelled. It doesn't get the certification. So it is very important that commingling shall be prevented. If there is during storage process, pest control is due to some organic methods are used like physical barriers, sound and light. Irradiation is not allowed there. The processing methods are all physical, mechanical and biological. Packaging material should be eco-friendly and biodegradable. This is also taken into consideration while packaging the product. Labeling should be clear. It should give the detail whether your ingredients are 100% organic or you have used some combined 75% organic or 25% in, or like that. It should be clear. It should be there in the label. And this is the conversion period for the fodder and grassland conversion period. For the field conditions, because the nutrients different NPK, urea and DAP have been used, so it takes 3 to 5 years to complete the cycle. So mostly for the organic fodder production in the fields, mostly the conversion period is taken varies from 3 to 5 years. And if the organic farming is by default, that it is default, no pesticide or no chemical is used here, we can also take, and the history of the field. And so duration of the conversion period is given here, 3 to 5 years for most of the crops, because within 3 to 5 years it cleaned itself and it the cycles have been completed, and the field come to its again to its virgile condition, or again to its previous condition, again to its originate condition. So 3 to 5 years is the mostly time scale. And for pig and poultry, if pig and poultry has to graze in the pastures, 12 months are intended for the grasses because they are not prone to chemicals, and they are not chemicals are not applied more. For 12 months are enough as a conversion period. And for the ruminant grazing, the land intended 2 years is considered as a conventional period. Now organic certification is already discussed. So some accreditation agencies of organic farming. NPOP is the biggest apex body, and then different accreditation agencies are APIDA, Coffee Board, Spice Board, Tea Board, Coconut Development Board, and Cashew and Cocoa Development. And some certifying agencies, which are 24 in number, are EcoCert, IndoCert. Like these are some famous agencies which act as a third party. Now these are the organic logos of the different countries. When organic logo, this is a stamp. If this stamp is put on the product, then we can say that it is an organic. Now, as we have discussed, that pastures are very much important, because at least 30% of the produce, the feed the animal take should be come from the pasture. This is written that the pasture is an inevitable. It is they are unavoidable. We have to send our animals to pastures for grazing to fulfill the criteria of organic farming. So it is very important to conserve our pastures and manage them properly. As we all know, pastures are grassland with improved species, And there are two types of pastures, natural as well as sown. And here we are taking both the pasture. Natural pastures are maintained by themselves, but for intensive cultivation or intensive organic production, organic livestock production, we have to sow, we have to maintain the pastures so that they can regenerate themselves. And because these pastures are also very important for the landless livestock keepers. For the pastures, they can also use fallow lands, because it is here also written that 30% dry matter should come from the organic pasture. The other advantages of pasture is soil health is maintenance. They reduce the erosions, and it will add to the 36 million tons of fodder. It comes more. So fodder, if we maintain our pastures properly, then it can increase its yield much. The pasture management. How to manage the pastures? First of all, we go for reseeding. Reseeding is very important for pastures, and we will go for the reseeding here. The slides which are showing reseeding is very important in the pasture, so that the pastures, if they are taken by the pastures, the animals go there and graze there. Sometimes there are gaps in the pastures, so we have to reseed those pastures so that regeneration of grass is educate. So natural reseeding is cheaper. If we natural reseeding means we have to leave that pastures and make there's a provision of rotational grazing so that the pastures itself fulfill its accession period, ecological succession period, and go up to climax. And but if it is not possible, then we have to go for artificial seeding, and for that we should use native and indigenous species which are acclimatized with those particular conditions. And there should be the provision of grass legume balance, because in this case we are also not depending on the organic sources. Important grasses which can be recommended for J&K are Lolium flaris, Tectilis, and Festosa. These are whereas the important species of legumes are Comilla, Lupinus, Lotus, and Trifolium. So there are some alarming weeds in the sub-alpine pastures like Stipa, Rumex, Cardus. There are some poisonous weeds also. They should be managed, and the weeds can be managed by just going there and by using physical as well as mechanical measures, because no chemical should be used in the pasture. And how to manage pasture? The most important thing is the grazing. Proper grazing should be there in the pasture. Proper grazing means that the stock density is maintained, and first the stock density is maintained, then we have to keep some criteria. How much the grass should be left, how much the grass should be left in the pasture. The animals are not allowed to eat like anything and destroy the pastures. So proper grazing management is must. It at least leave 5 to 6 centimeter of the grass, and then we have to shift our animals so that it does not erode the land and it does not destroy the pastures. So our grazing is not recommended, and new seedlings should be protected by some means, by putting traps on them, by some cage on them, so that the new seedlings can be emerged. And there should be the time period given to the pasture so that it can be recovered. Mowing should be done to control the many pasture weeds, so that, and also it encourage the new pasture growth. Horses should be avoided when there is excessive dry or wet condition, because they spoil the pastures more. If there is an excess problem of weeds, then we have to reseeding. Reseeding is the best practice, so that there is a competition between the weeds and the grasses, and due to the excess population of the grasses, it can overcome the weed problem. And well managed pasture should be there. So controlled grazing, fencing, rotational grazing, and management and intensive grazing should be there. So we are rich in horticultural area, so we have to for organic fodder, we have to use this horticulture pastoral system, and we have to use the silvipastoral system type of. We have to introduce these type of system so that a lot of pastures is available. These are some photographs of perennial grass, and so nomadic roots, because we have a particular community here like Gujarwal and Bakawal people. They are very important because they contribute to our GDP here. So we have to gain their confidence. So there are provisions for their animals. There should be access of drinking water in the roots where they go. For them also for their livestock, there should be shelters, and these are the things which are good for the pasture management. No arable forest production approach. Some future strategies is there. As our region, particularly Jammu, is divided into JNK is divided into intermediate and subtropical and alpine zones. So forage production is taken according to the agroclimatic zones. Where there's a subtropical zone and it is irrigated, then we go for intensive fodder production. Like we have to take 3-4 crops of fodder per year, so that cropping intensity increase. We go for intercropping, relay cropping. We can adjust the seed rates and go so that we can take more fodder for our animals. And conservation strategy should be there. We should mix both leguminous and grasses there, so that the animals get balanced, right? One of the most important thing in the organic fodder production or organic livestock production, that it get the balanced diet. So we should include both grasses as well as legumes there. Short duration fodder crops are also introduced so that it fit to the system, and cropping intensity goes on increasing. And these are the some and watershed shed management. This is like hilly trained management approaches. Now some opportunities and challenges towards the livestock production. Or no, opportunities are these: we have a remote hilly trains. This is the opportunity for us because we have a nomadic people which have a far organic. So this is the opportunity for us, and we are also backyard poultry system here. So backyard poultry system is also, as by default, is organic. So we can promote it as we can certify it. We can make it. We can make the things that it got certification. It has been seen that when there is a talk of meat, chick meat is more demanded by the consumer compared to another meat, because chick meat is raised only to 20%. It's hike in the price is only 20%. So it is more likely by the consumers. So it has more opportunity here. So we are already using ITK technology. So India is known for ITK technology. So it is an opportunity, and we have to go for crop livestock integrated in our SCOS Jammu. It is an IFS here where we are using this integrated livestock farming system, and it has come first all over India also. So this is best techniques. The IFS, like in IFS models, we can use this integrated system. So in our area, livestock diversity is more in India. Livestock diversity is here, so there's an opportunity. And indigenous livestock breeds, they are more 65% areas under rain fed. So we can switch to organic fodder by using the techniques of hydroponic, because the hydroponic fodder can also be grown in the droughty areas or the areas where there is a scarcity of water, because we have to it saves lot of water. So it can be used here in the rain-fed conditions. And we can also depend on the maize belt where it is rain-fed. It gives you a good maize-based fodder, sorghum-based fodder, bajra-based fodder. So this is an opportunity. So consumer awareness is an opportunity, because consumer is now aware. He likes to eat organic production. So this is act as an opportunity. Some challenges are there. We have a fragmented land holdings. Our Jammu Kashmir has a average land holding of average is 0.6 hectare nearby, and India is also less land holding of 1.13 hectare as compared to other countries, developed countries. They have a big holdings. So we can't suggest for the big farms here. So organic production can be for pasture and for landless farmers. It is difficult to go for organic production, and this is some challenges. So for that, policy interventions are needed. Our farmers are illiterate, they are not have much awareness, they afraid of organic, a huge certification process. So some voluntarily PGS like participating guarantee scheme should be make appeared to the farmers, so that the farmers are not afraid of the long certification procedure, and don't even dare to step in this process. So these things should be get common, and, so that the farmers get acquaintance to these things, and also step in this organic livestock production. So another thing we have already discussed, there's a deficiency in feed and fodder. Cost of certification is very high. Marketing facilities are not there. If we produce lettuce, which has a very quick, some fodders like which has very quick response in developed countries, but they have no marketing facilities here. So we can we first make available the marketing facilities for meat, milk, organic meat, organic milk, organic products, so that the farmer get encouraged. So these are the things. There is a process problem in preservation problems, processing problems. So policy intervention are needed in it. We have not much sportive infrastructures. So strict measures. The European countries and United States, these are developed countries which are importing themselves. They are exporting and importing things among themselves, because they have made some standards which are very strict. Those standards are very strict, and we can't. Our poor farmers are not able to meet those standards. So here the policy interventions from the government is required, and training facilities should be, capacity building programs are there, so that our farmers get acquainted with the whole procedure, how to produce organic fodder as well as organic livestock production for its better livelihood and for the safe well-being. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your valuable insight into the subject. Any questions from the participants? Ma'am would be taking queries.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Any questions, please?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I ask a question. Yeah,
Hanji,
actually, you have
yes.
you are feeding the livestock or a buffalo or calf and 7 to 8 gram of azolla. Yeah, I am right.
Animals at the rate of for
7 to 8 gram per
it is
day.
700 to 800 gram. 700 to 800 gram for large ruminants. 700 to 800. Hanji.
Question is how
Concentrate.
yeah, how much amount
I have also shown you. Yes, we replace the concentrate depending if we had because the protein requirement 20 to 30%. Then we have to calculate it. 20 to 30% protein it gives. We have to avoid
but
those concentrate which are rich in proteins. We have to calculate that.
Okay, ma'am. But concentrate contain all protein and fat both, not only protein. It contains some protein and some carbohydrate.
I'm telling you now.
Actually, how
much? Okay. Our azolla is
700 to 8 gram azolla.
This is not the case. When we are adding 700 to 800 gram to feed our animals, then then 20 to 30% of protein is we are adding to it. with the help of a Zola,
Okay.
okay, on the dry matter basis. Then we have to calculate, because the concentrate we are, as I have told you, we are making our own concentrates, na? Then we have to calculate it, na? Because we have to, we are using different ingredients.
Okay.
Then we
And
have to calculate it, how much we can replace it.
700 to 8 gram diameter basis you added in the feed. Okay.
20 to
As such value is more.
30% of protein dry matter basis Ozola gives. That is the case.
Okay. 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 Thank you.
You calculate it.
Hello.
You can replace 20 to 30% protein where the rich protein. Hanji.
Madam, this is Dr. Rajni Siroi from Mathura. You gave a very informative talk. I just have few queries. You mentioned about certain poultry breeds which can be reared. You mentioned about Asil and others. Can't we rear these commercially available strains for organic poultry production? This is my first question. Second, you said that in commercial organic broiler production, we have to maintain the bird for 81 days. So, is it the necessary requirement for organic certification? Please. Hello.
You can answer through my phone as well. Hello. There is some issue with ma'am's laptop, so she'll be answering the question from my phone. Please repeat the question. Yeah, please go to the link, ma'am.
Okay.
Just a second, part. There is some issue with ma'am's laptop. Just a second. She'll be coming back, joining us back. Ma'am is here. Hello.
Hanji.
Ma'am has joined, I guess. Hello, ma'am. You're there? Hello. Hello. I think she has joined, but I am not able to hear her. Just a second.
Yes.
Yeah, please repeat the question. Ma'am will answer.
Okay,
Ma'am,
yes,
this is Dr. Rajni Siroi from Mathura. I was just congratulating you for the very informative talk, and I had few queries. One was that
Thank
you
you, sir.
mentioned about certain breeds of poultry which we can rear in organic farming
Yes,
regarding
yes.
asils or like that. So my first query is,
One Raja.
can't we use the commercially available poultry strains for organic commercial poultry production?
Sir, I have also told you that if you have to go for crossbreeding, then na? You have to. I have also, if the animal, the 67.5% inheritance, I have talked to you, na? If no pure breed, no exotic pure breed, it should be crossbreed like that.
Madam, as far as my information, in poultry, most of the commercial poultry, there are certain specifically designed commercial strains available. And
okay, sir. If there's
the
a
question
strain,
is,
we should go.
Question is, can we use them for organic poultry production?
Yes, sir. We can use it, but the key consideration and protocol and package is like the same as that of shown to you, na?
Secondly,
we can go for that.
Okay. Secondly, you mentioned that for broiler, we have to rear the bird at least for 81 days. So we cannot slaughter before that.
Yes.
So we cannot
81 day age is 81 day age is recommended. Yes.
So any commercial broiler production cannot be certified as organic if it is less than 81 days.
Yes, sir. This is the what the researchers are saying. What is the paper saying? It is saying that we have not to prompt our growth.
Okay. Another thing you mentioned that for deworming we can use cucumber and pumpkin seeds. Hello, are you there? I think again there is certain issue with that.
Hello, ma'am.
Anyway, she has got certain problems with it.
I think she
Rajnish, sir. Hello, this is C.H. Ramakrishna, sir. I am working in a livestock farm complex. Sir, I want to talk with Rajnish, sir.
Hanji, yes,
Hello.
please.
Sir,
Please.
madam, she is an agronomist. She is specialized in agronomy. You are asking all poultry related questions. Maybe you are the poultry.
No,
expert.
I'm simply asking what she had presented